And just so you know, what Lynn is going to be, or we always have a moderator, so they're handling all the questions while we have YouTube on pause or on mute because of the lag.
Yeah.
So I have my phone kind of ready with text messages in case there's any questions that can't be answered. And just so you know, what Lynn is going to be. There you go. So now it's live.
Cool.
And it just had me.
Let me mute it. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Creep on the chat.
Okay. So, I guess we're a couple minutes early. Whoopsies. Okay, well, we'll just, I'm still getting to know this platform. Anyway, I don't want to, we still have a few minutes. I don't want to do the intro until people have had a chance, but it will be up later too. So
I've been drinking out of.
Use what you have.
It's been weird on the normal people Zoom meetings. They're like, what are you
doing? I just found out that you can change the background.
Oh my gosh. You know what okay, hot tip for anybody that's watching.
Yes.
Snap camera. So you can change the background on Zoom, but if you Google Snap Camera and download it, there will be an app that installs on your computer and it will put Snapchat filters over any camera. So like yesterday, like we had our full meeting with everybody was potatoes and then we were all llamas. Like it's wild. Like it's so good. Snap Camera.
Wait, everyone has to have it?
No, you can, like, at first I was the only one that was like, I had like donut glasses on and everyone was like, what is happening? It's great.
Like, that's just Polly. It's fine.
Got it. Highly recommend for your next
okay, I'll have to
meeting to really distract everyone.
So it's called Snap Camera?
Snap, like Snapchat.
Oh, okay.
It's Snapchat filters for your computer.
Okay. Is Snapchat still like something that's happening? I didn't really ever get into it.
I guess. I don't know. I guess. I don't know. For the youth.
What's that?
Maybe for the youth.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always say. Okay, well, we still have a couple minutes. But since this is recording anyway, maybe we'll just start with your intro. This is Polly, and maybe you can tell people like where they can find you, what you're doing, and how you got into this.
Yeah. So I'm Polly. Hi. I am a zero waste and sustainability educator in the Midwest, which is a tough place to do it. I write about living a more sustainable lifestyle that goes, this is my cat Lunchbox. She will be making periodic appearances. So I write about zero waste, basically beyond the plastic bag and beyond the mason jar. And I got started around 2015. I was super, super broke, living in a food insecure area with high risk populations. And I really enjoyed the idea of zero waste, but really couldn't connect with what the mainstream looked like just because I didn't have bulk bins and like we didn't have a car and I basically could apply for like food stamps. So that has really informed kind of how I have started exploring zero waste and sustainability. And that's why I like doing things like this, like what we'll do today, because it's cheap. Pretty much everyone has access to try it out. And yeah, makes you feel a little bit more self-sufficient, which is always nice.
Yeah, definitely, especially in current situations. And you have a book that's coming out soon.
You have a book that's coming out soon. Thanks for the plug. Yeah, More Than a Plastic Bag. So it is essentially a guide with 12 different sections. Each have 3 different action items for beginner, intermediate, or advanced kind of eco-activists. It's coming out June 2nd. I just heard back from my printer that they may actually get pretty close to getting the books in my hand by then.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, all this has been a little iffy, but yeah, it just got fully funded. So we're moving ahead and it's super exciting.
Amazing. Congrats. I have my copy, my digital copy coming. I'm super excited for that. Polly, I've been following Polly for I don't know how many years, but years on Instagram. And I don't want to make you blush too much, but I know you hate it, but I gotta tell people. She's been phenomenal for making me think outside the box and seeing that packaging is the very first kind of step in zero waste. And I think it's an important step because it's a tangible step, but it's so much more than that. And so I'd highly recommend following Polly. It's polly.barks on Instagram, right? Yeah. And then pollybarks.com.
Yep.
Yeah, so many great resources there. And yeah, just really helpful information. So thank you. And I met, and I'm Sophie, your eco friend. I'm in Toronto and I do zero waste consulting and speaking engagements and try and be as practical as possible and meet people where they're at by getting community engagement and getting events together and workshops and all that fun stuff. So I met Polly. I feel like we actually met in real life, which is kind of cool.
True story.
Was that 2 years ago?
Maybe. It was a while ago.
I think it was 2 years ago. Anyway, she was in Toronto with her husband and visiting, and we got to meet up together and met a bunch of local people, which was really fun. And in true Canadian style, I was all huggy and did not take into account Polly's boundaries.
Cool.
So don't hug Polly.
No hugs.
In the nicest possible way. I love that you're fine with me teasing about it and making fun of myself too. Anyway, so yeah, so that's how we met. So yeah, today we're gonna do apple cider vinegar and deodorant. And yeah, these I rounded up. I don't have the best angle here, but here.
I know. I was trying to like imagine
it's
a better
hard.
angle.
Yeah. So here's I don't know. I was saving apple cores. The way I made it is a little different than I think maybe the way you made it. So I'm excited to learn how you do it. So I guess maybe we'll get right into it.
Yeah, let's just jump into it. Yes, there will be an assistant here the whole time apparently.
I appreciate that.
You know. Okay, yeah. So
oh my goodness.
So yeah, for apple cider vinegar, this is actually not apple cider vinegar. If you want to get technical, this is apple scrap vinegar, which some purists will call you out on.
Wow, all right.
Yes, okay. I've learned that. So apple cider vinegar obviously comes from apple cider, right? It's been heated up, and so this is apple scrap because it comes from scraps. The only difference is it may be a little less potent, but I have never noticed a difference. I'm not measuring it, so just FYI.
Okay.
People will call you out on it.
Interesting. Okay, I'll quickly change the title on YouTube.
Yeah, so basically it's super simple. All you really need is 3 ingredients and then time. So start out with apple scraps. So it could be peels, it could be cores, it could be like little gross rotten bits. That's fine. Toss it all in. And then the second ingredient is water. Ideally, you'd like it like filtered or distilled, particularly if you have like super chlorinated water wherever you are. I haven't done that in the past and found it works okay. But you know, do as I say, not as I do. So all
So,
the
sorry,
water,
can I ask a question?
yeah.
You also said that pears were okay too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I say that because I get about 200 to 400 pounds of pears every year off of a tree in my backyard. So yeah, they both have right like a similar skin and core. So you
Okay.
could do pear scrap vinegar as well, and that it turns out very similarly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Um, yeah, apples just are easier to source, I guess, for most people. So that's why apple cider vinegar is so popular.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So
either one works.
how much should I put in? Like,
Yeah. So basically, what you're going to do is you want enough water to cover all of the scraps. And you're going to want to measure it a little bit because you do need a basic ratio of 1 cup of water to 1 tablespoon of sugar. So it doesn't have to be exact, but you know, just kind of have a general idea of how many cups you're pouring in, and then we'll add sugar afterwards.
okay. Does it matter what kind of sugar?
It really, I've heard people use honey, any kind of sugar is fine. It's really just, it's going to be a fermentation process. So the bacteria in here needs something to eat and it eats sugar. So anything with sugar in it. So I'm going to guess that I'm going to pour about like a cup. Yep, that's about a cup. The apples will float to the top. That's okay. So once you have it covered, again, you're just going to add for however many cups of water, 1 tablespoon of sugar. And again, this is an art, not a science, so don't feel too pressured. I'm gonna take, I don't even have a full tablespoon, so I'm just gonna make a guess. I'm gonna toss in some sugar and then stir it nice and well until your sugar has dissolved. And I like this because it's easy, right? Like I feel like a lot of like, oh, zero waste and sustainability stuff seems so complex, and it's like it's really not. It's really super easy.
Well, and all of this stuff it's like none of these things are new. These are all just things that people did and people still do. You know, and so it's just going back to those things.
Yeah, right. None of this is novel. So once all the sugar has kind of been, you know, as best you can dissolved, this, if you want to stop here, is pretty much it. If you do have some like fancier apple cider vinegar that has like a mother in it, which is like a SCOBY for kombucha, you can add a little bit of that in. So I'm gonna probably, for like a cup of water, add in like a tablespoon-ish. And what I find is that just helps kind of catalyze the process.
Okay, so I have a question about this because I've been going through this apple cider vinegar, which I bought at like an apple farm, and they said it had a mother in there. I mean, I don't see anything that's like a SCOBY, but there's definitely like some sediment and stuff in there.
Yeah, it definitely, you can't really see. It's definitely not going to be as apparent as like a kombucha SCOBY, which are like
Okay.
super thick. But
Okay.
yeah, if it's kind of cloudy, sedimenty at the bottom, you'll see something a little wispy. That's kind of what it looks like.
Okay, so all right, so because I've been just gone through that whole batch. Whoops.
Mhm.
I've been through that whole batch, but I kind of saved the end of it and just kept like I would refill the new vinegar
Yeah.
that we get like in bulk. So that's okay.
Yeah, totally. That's basically just like reinvigorating it because that's what is the process of all this fermentation.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so you said a tablespoon?
Yeah, about a tablespoon. I think it just helps get it going. It already has the natural living bacteria in there.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it. So there are kind of two options to this. The first, if you want to be really fancy, is to get like a fermentation weight or even just a smaller jar and place it on top.
Oh,
Because what you don't want is some of the apples to be sitting up at the top because they're going to
right,
start molding.
right.
Now, if you are more conscientious than I am, you can just have a look at it every few days and stir it up, and that is more than enough. I know myself, I won't do that. So I like to find something that's gonna kind of press it down.
Okay.
Um, but again, stirring
Now,
works.
do you also have to be really mindful of, because I know when you do canning, everything has to be super sterile and is that, I guess maybe that's probably ideal.
Sure. Yeah, you definitely want to wash all this well
Yeah.
beforehand. But what you're going to do at the end is cover this up with something breathable. So there is stuff from the air coming in and out. So it's not kind of like completely sterilized as like canning and sealing something is.
Okay.
So there's a little more flexibility in terms of having some weirdness in there, and it won't kill you, I promise.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna wash this quickly.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, so you basically just let it rest, and then, like I said, find something to cover it up with. I usually like to just use can use an old coffee filter, a cloth, cheesecloth, whatever works.
Oh, that didn't
Um,
I'm like, I thought I had it. No,
oh,
it's
that's
not. It's just sitting on
so
top. It's not.
close.
Maybe this is probably better. But
Yeah.
I need that. Okay, I'll figure it out.
In the future. Yeah, it's not like it's not gonna mold immediately. So then
No.
after you're all done, you're basically just cover it. And it's a process.
Yeah.
I usually start tasting it after like a week or two.
Mhm.
And excuse me, the longer you let it sit, the stronger it'll become. So just kind of, dip a little finger, get a little spoon in there and taste it after maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. See how
Okay.
you feel. And then once it's kind of to the taste that you like, you can strain it and then compost those peels.
Okay. Great. And so when you say cover it, you mean cover it with some like a something that's more not breathable.
Something breathable.
Oh,
Yes.
something
Yes.
breathable
We
at
do
this
want it to
stage
be
as
able
well.
to breathe.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. 'Cause I
Cloth,
think,
any
oh,
kind of cloth, like a mesh bag.
okay.
Yeah, we want the stuff from the air to be getting in here.
Okay. Is there I made some a while ago from I think it was Zero Waste Chef, which is basically the same as what you're saying. I don't think she mentioned, or at least I didn't see that, using the mother. So that's kind of a good idea. Although I'm kind of wondering if something is happening. Is that possible?
Yeah,
It could have.
I so I've heard conflicting things. I've heard that there's no way apple scrap vinegar will ever create a mother. In some of mine, I haven't added anything to, I've seen it start to happen. So I'm not sure. I haven't been able to find a definitive answer from anybody I actually trust. But it does when it starts to get cloudy and wispy in there. That
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Like, because there's definitely like some kind of sediment, but all I did was scraps in here, so I don't know. Okay, and is there? I felt like there was like kind of a two-step process in terms of letting it sit, and then is there like some kind of like I might be getting it mixed up with soda here.
Yeah, so usually when you have like a secondary fermentation, that's for carbonation, which obviously
Ah,
apple cider vinegar doesn't need. So
right.
after I strain it, I typically just bottle it up and store it in like a cool, dark place or in the fridge if you really want to preserve it, because obviously with any fermentation, it always continues to ferment.
Okay.
So keeping it cool will slow that down as much as possible.
Okay, that's good to know because I don't ever keep um my vinegar in the fridge. I don't think.
Yeah. And I don't either, but if some
Okay.
people are particular about like, yes, this is the perfect taste, you can kind of
Got
sit there.
Okay,
So
that's
yeah,
good to know.
just to taste.
Okay, so basically, just to get it in my brain, so once you do all of this, you can do the like weight on top to keep it submerged, or you can just leave it with something over top so it's breathing, and then just check it every day and kind of mix it.
Yeah, you'll want it covered regardless.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, even if you have a weight on top of it, you're still, just to make sure like bugs and
Oh, right.
weird things don't get in there. But
Got
yeah.
it. Okay, and then once you like the taste of it, a week, maybe 2 weeks, then you can strain it and bottle it.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say that you would start tasting at a week and a half or 2 weeks. It
Okay.
will likely, unless your house is really, really, really warm, it's not going to be ready then. But I mean, I can let mine sit for like a month and a half. So just keep tasting.
Okay. And we actually had a good question just come in. What do we actually use it for? Thank you for reminding me with that question, because there's so many things you can use it for in cooking and beauty products and all that stuff. So what do you use it for?
Yeah, so why we paired it up with deodorant kind of was for the beauty aspect of it. So I actually will use it as a toner,
Nice.
which I find works really well for me. I have pretty dry, sensitive skin, and it tones. It doesn't cause too many issues. You can also use it in cooking. If you are one of those wild people that likes to take an ACV like lemon and cayenne shot every morning, you can more power to you. For this, I will also do fire cider in the fall or winter, which is a whole different thing. But it's essentially a bunch of very spicy, pungent things put into apple cider vinegar, and it is kind of a natural remedy for the cold.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And also, I used it in my hair too. I used to hate it when I tried like the water only thing, which I chatted with Ariana. Ooh, was that last night? Oh my gosh, already. All the days. Oh, and I hated the apple cider vinegar, but that's because I had so much like gunk in my hair that it wasn't actually drying. It was just sticking onto the gunk. So when I decided to go back to shampoo, I didn't really want to take on conditioner as well. I'm like, I will go halfway. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try that apple cider vinegar. Maybe it was just because there's so much stuff in my hair. And actually, I really like it now. So I just do a tablespoon, I think, of the vinegar, and then like maybe a couple of cups of water, or maybe 1 cup of water. And I put it in a spray bottle.
Nice.
So if anyone's interested in that, I actually find that quite good. And you do not smell like vinegar.
Yeah, after it dries.
Yes, exactly. After it
My
dries.
husband was like, why? Ew.
Yeah.
It's like, I promise it goes away, I swear. Same with my face.
Nice. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to deodorant, and then if anyone has any questions, feel free to just shoot them up there, and we will answer them.
Cool.
Okay.
So
what do we need for deodorant?
Deodorant. So this is the thing that I've taught this probably like a million times. I always do this as like the non-scary, non-threatening introduction to sustainability.
Yeah.
I don't know, people love this. It's very, very, very interesting. So you're going to need any kind of container that will seal. I only say it seals because this will dry out after a while. So good to keep it nice and sealed up. You're going to need baking soda.
Okay.
My giant thing of cornstarch.
I have arrowroot powder, and that's okay too, right?
Arrowroot powder is also a good alternative. Yep.
Yeah, and tapioca starch okay too? I don't know.
I have that. I wonder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would assume any kind of starchy thing. So yeah, good reminder. Baking soda is for smell. The powder is for moisture. So I'm guessing that maybe any kind of starch, as long as it doesn't get too gunky, would be good for kind of moisture absorption.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No?
Oh, no. I just said, okay.
I'll keep talking. And then we need coconut oil to kind of mix it all together.
Okay.
Some people say it's like antimicrobial or antifungal. I am unsure of those claims, but it is a good base to mix this up. Mine is now liquid. As long as it's a little soft to be able to mix, that works. My house is like 58 degrees right now, so do you have a rock?
Well, it's funny because it was totally liquefied and I thought I should put it in the fridge for a bit and then I forgot to, like, just to make it a little bit more, but that's okay.
Yeah, as long as you can kind of work it in, and like I usually apply it with my hands, so it'll kind of warm up after a
Okay.
while if it's not fully integrated. And then the last thing is a couple drops of essential oil, optional, just kind of for smell. Up to you if you prefer. People usually go with tea tree because it's supposed to be antimicrobial. But you could also just go for straight smell. Up to you.
Yeah, I just happen to have, for the workshops that I've done, I have lemongrass. I really like lemongrass. Feels super fancy. But yeah, I've also used it without any too. It's fine.
Yeah. Just a little fun add-on. Okay, so I'm not gonna really give you a recipe. I'm gonna give you ratios. If this is your first time making it, I would definitely suggest starting with small ratios. The baking soda can be irritating to some people.
Right.
So if that's the case, you want to have a whole bunch of it. If you do find that the baking soda is irritating, drop the amount of baking soda, add more cornstarch. But the basic recipe is 1 part baking soda to 1 part cornstarch, to about 2 parts coconut oil, but that really depends on the consistency that you prefer. So I like mine to be a little more liquidy, so I'm going to add more. If you're someone that would really like to put it like in a bar form, you might want to use less coconut oil so it'll really be more solid. Kind of up to you. So I'm going to just go with about a tablespoon because I do actually need to make some for myself. So I'm going to start with about a tablespoon of baking soda. Again, if you try this out and find it doesn't work, use less baking soda. And then I'm also going to do 1 part cornstarch or arrowroot or starch powder of your choice. I just kind of like to mix those up real quick. If you're going to add in your essential oils, I like to add it in now.
With the mixing?
Yes, during the mixing. I find it integrates with the powder better. I don't know. Maybe it's just a feeling. I usually only do 1 to 2 drops.
Yeah.
Or even something this big. People like to over add this. Please only add a little tiny bit because this is going on a very sensitive part of your body. So even for like a tablespoon each of products, like 1 to 2 drops is more than enough. And again,
yeah, I think there's a kind of a fearlessness that goes with using essential oils because it's natural. And while that may be the case, it's still natural, can still be quite potent.
Yeah, cyanide also natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying. Yeah, so definitely err on the side of caution, particularly if you have sensitive skin. Okay, so once that's kind of all mixed up, you can go ahead and add in your coconut oil. I like to start with about 1 part of coconut oil, mix it up, and see where you're at. It definitely depends on where you are, right? So my house is either really cold or really hot. So this does change with temperature. So when it's cold, it's going to be a lot harder. When it's warm, it's going to be, the coconut oil is going to be melty, obviously. So keep that in mind as you add it in.
I'm a bad student. I put in the coconut oil first. Oopsies.
Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, again, all of my things are art versus science. So
Yeah, because I wanted to get it out of the cold jar, and so I didn't think about it. Oh well, it's okay.
it all incorporates eventually.
Yeah, once it's all good. It's just crumbly because it's not liquefied.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks
so
great.
You can see like mine is kind of moving around in the jar.
Yeah.
It's gonna harden up a lot more than that. So I'm probably gonna add in a little bit more. It looks super loose now, but I want to make I personally, I don't like to like be digging my fingers into my deodorant. I like when it kind of is more like a paste versus a rock. So
Got it. Someone asked, can we use cornstarch and baking powder?
Cornstarch and baking powder. I've never used baking powder.
And not, oh, sorry, and not baking powder. I was like, I feel like I've seen that somewhere.
Use like what?
Sorry, use cornstarch instead of the baking powder.
No. Oh, yeah. So there are definitely like natural deodorants that don't have baking soda in it. So it is possible. I've actually tried it without baking soda, and it did not work for me. I'm not sure quite kind of like how they formulate it, but the baking soda for me really does cut the smell. And the cornstarch just didn't work as well. But again, a lot of this really depends on you. And kind of how your body will react to it. So it might be worth a try because I have heard people use it successfully.
Same
for that, but
okay. No, oh my gosh, I'm making such a mess. It's good that my camera can't show it more mess.
Good. It's part of the process. But yeah, so basically you'll kind of end up with something. It's very bright in here, but you're gonna end up with something kind of like this, and it'll harden up over time. But you just want to make sure that all the lumps are fairly well incorporated. And then once it's hardened, basically I take maybe like a pea-sized amount. I just dip in with my finger. I know some people like a spoon, some people like a whatever. I make small enough batches that I'm not super concerned that I'm gonna like create some disgusting bacteria out of it. So I just kind of stick my finger in, pea-sized amount, apply, rub it around once a day.
Okay. I'm just gonna wash my hands because I'm full of foil.
I know I'm very very moisturized right now.
So do you because when I do it, I do make a big batch, and because I often give it to friends, because that's kind of a fun thing when you tell someone you make your own deodorant, and you're like, it costs me like pennies basically. Yeah. They're like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, here, you want to try it? And then they're often hooked. So I keep it in the fridge just for what I've left over. Do you keep yours anywhere in particular, or?
I just stick mine in my bathroom closet. In the summer, so my house will get up. We didn't like have air conditioning last year. So my house would get up to like 85 degrees. Then I would put it in the fridge. But yeah, I mean, I haven't found that anything has been grossly growing on mine yet. Never say never.
And have you ever used the one? Oh, so here's mine. It did make a paste after with also smells yummy. It kind of looks like frosting.
It is a little frosting-y.
Yeah. So maybe label it, people. I
saw yesterday, is this water or is this vinegar? It's always like the mix of weird things. This apple cider vinegar actually kept in my fridge for a while, and my husband used it thinking it was broth. It was not. So labels are your friend when everything is a brown liquid or a white liquid.
Yeah, that happens a lot. There's so many things where I put it away and I'm like, this is obvious what it is. And then months later, I'm like, ooh, what was that again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've made it also. The only thing with this one for me is the melting part of it, because the coconut oil can melt so much more easily. So have you done it with adding anything like, I don't know, shea butter or beeswax or anything like that?
I have tried it with beeswax.
For anyone
I
who
end
wants
up liking the texture. It does keep it nice and stable.
Yeah.
And that may have been like user error on my part. But yes, you can add other things to make it a little more stable. I personally haven't, for me, found it makes enough of a difference to like go seek out extra ingredients and extra time.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And to be fair, the only reason I do it is probably because I have fairly easy access to an amazing place here in Toronto called Anaris Apothecary, and they have the most variety of DIY supplies that you could ever imagine, like rose petals and like, you know, bulk. Everything is in bulk. You can get it, which is just phenomenal. So, so it's pretty easy. So I don't have to like, oh well, I gotta go get, you know, something else anyway. So I might as well get this too.
Yeah, when I started the DIY stuff, I definitely I'm like gonna go get 10 pounds of shea butter from online, and then you're like, what the hell am I gonna do with 10 pounds of shea butter? So I try to keep it very minimal because I'm not trying to mess with that.
Yeah, exactly. Someone asked, what are the most potent essential oils you like to use? I like to smell good.
Oh, good. Oh gosh, I really don't use that many. I personally, the resource usage that comes with essential oils, I don't find outweighs the benefits of them typically. Like I will use them for workshops when I'm doing this with other people, but at home, I don't know. I like the orange ones, like an orange and lemongrass mix is good. And then like, you know, the classic jasmine or lavender is always nice. Those are always popular ones, but yeah, I try to steer away. I think like this one is from a workshop I did like a year ago, so it's probably technically expired.
Well, the thing is too is, I mean, when you're using such a small amount, it can last you for a really long time. I think if they're kept in dark bottles, which they typically are, I think they last longer than that, don't they?
I have not done the research, to be fair.
I haven't either, so maybe not. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's, if you're only using it for fragrance wise, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And especially if you're keeping it to a very small amount too. Cool. Well, this is exciting. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. I need a deodorant, so I have no motivation for anything now, so this is helpful.
No problem. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything, feel free to send us a message. Oh, can you talk a bit more about the aspects of essential oils that aren't the most sustainable? Ooh.
Oh.
It's frozen.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I haven't done too much research into it, so I can't speak to exact numbers. But essentially what happens with essential oils is you need an incredible amount of whatever product. So like rose petals, you would need tens and tens of pounds of rose petals just to make one single bottle. So the process is energy intensive. It's incredibly resource intensive. If you ever try to make your own essential oil, which I have, it's impossible. So it's just very resource and energy intensive in a way that I think if you're using them thoughtfully, it can be okay, but a lot of people are just like slinging essential oils everywhere, and it's pretty wasteful.
Yeah. And I would highly recommend checking out the Eco Well. Jen puts out a lot of great content on science, not fear, waste-free PhD. I think there's another one. Oh, I've got family coming back. I think there's another one called Essential Oily Chemist or something like that. But there's some really great, for anyone who is interested to dive into that more, I would check out those accounts. And when I say those accounts, I'm talking about Instagram, because that is what consumes me.
Right. Yeah. And if you are interested in sourcing oils, you can, Mountain Rose Herbs is pretty good.
Okay.
Because they are growing things specifically for essential oils, like on their farm, and they're doing it all in-house. So it's a little less destructive maybe than industrial production of it. There are also lots of small makers, seems to be like in the Pacific Northwest, who are like wild foraging, that can create their own essential oils, and that might be worth supporting rather than, like, I don't know, a larger one like Young Living, who I'm not sure of their supply chain at all.
They're what? They don't what? Sorry.
Oh, I'm just not sure about like their supply chain or where they're sourcing. So
okay. Well, thank you. I think that's all the questions that we have. So thanks. I will post this, or well, this will just be on YouTube now. This will live here. And if you have any questions, you can check out at holly.barks on Instagram. And I'm at Your Eco Friend. So thank you. Have a good Saturday, Polly.
Thanks. Bye, guys. I expect an update in like several weeks about.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. So if anyone has made this today or the deodorant, post it on Instagram and tag WE-Solation Nation. And one lucky viewer gets like a personalized card from one of us, and you'll get a blank seed paper card to send to somebody else as well, with some herb seed paper, so you can grow some herbs during isolation.
Yay.
Yeah, so thanks so much, and I will see you probably later today.
All right, bye guys.
Bye, Polly. Thanks, everyone.